Welcome in. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 259. A ton to do today. NFL season is 58 hours away from kicking off. We have, in my opinion, the single best non-quarterback in football is about to agree to a contract and end his holdout in Trent Williams. We had an awesome college football weekend, but we're actually starting with none of the above. We'll tell you what we're starting with in just a moment. But first, what missed the cut? Patrick Mahomes shouts out Dylan Raiola, baby Mahomes. And by the way, Dylan Raiola and Nebraska are going to light Colorado on fire this weekend. We will discuss that in a bit. Shad Khan says the Jags team this is the best Jags team ever assembled. And Joey Chestnut eats 83 hot dogs and breaks the record. So, real quick, Damonza, you know how I think this happens on Instagram. I know it happens on Twitter, where if you click on one random thing, the algorithm can all of a sudden think you're really interested in that topic and over-index you to that exact type of content just because you clicked on one thing or watched one video. I really do fear that has happened a bit on this podcast when it comes to the producers funneling Joey Chestnut content my way, because once upon a time, I gave an impassioned, brilliant argument as to why he's the world's greatest athlete. Not because I wanted to, but because I was asked to, and we were doing Nick Wright Public Defender. And I was so good at it that I think the producers then determined I'm really into this freak, and I'm not. I'm not into him eating hot dogs dipped in lemonade. I'm not into him. I'm not into any of it. But anytime there's Joey Chestnut news, the producers think of me, and they shouldn't. They are human beings who have been tricked like an internet algorithm because of one segment I did 3 years ago. That's what's happened here. So let that be known moving forward. But I said we weren't starting with any of those things. We're also not starting with Joey Chestnut. We're starting with the WNBA. And Damonza, get us started, if you will, please.
So WNBA legend Lisa Leslie weighed in on the Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese debate, and she's actually said that they both deserve to win Rookie of the Year.
Why do we give it all the rookies?
Yeah,
why, you know what? They're all trying. Why have awards at all? Why even keep score? So, all right. So here's the deal. And you guys, I know we have a new social team we're building up because the great Lori Reyes has left us. Got a great job. Shout out to her. So we'll kind of do this on the fly. This entire WNBA, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and media take, you can put on the internet. The whole thing. Because, not to be too self-congratulatory, we have nailed this every step of the way. When there was, I'm dating back years, when there was clear racism in the coverage of Angel Reese and LSU, we discussed it, we leaned right into it, and we didn't couch our words. When there was an obvious double standard in Caitlin taunting versus when anyone else taunted, we discussed it. When Angel talked about all the shit she's been through and on the internet, and some of my colleagues, said basically, buck up, kiddo, you talk trash, you got to deal with it. I said I thought they missed the boat on that and didn't totally understand what she was going through. We also told you 3 weeks into the season, when everyone was talking about, oh my God, the Caitlin Clark Olympic snub, that this would be the absolute best thing to happen for the Indiana Fever and to Caitlin Clark. because the reason they were so bad early was because they were playing 3 games in 4 nights, back-to-backs all the time. Their schedule was front-loaded with all the best teams in basketball, in the WNBA, I should say. And we told you that after that brutal opening stretch, they had no back-to-backs left. They had no 3 games in 4 nights left. They got the softest part of their schedule post-Olympics, when Caitlin would be rested, adjusted, finally have time to breathe for the first time in probably more than a year, and she would go and light the league on fire. And that is exactly what's happened, okay? And there were a lot of people loud wrong on this. Now, some of them were loud wrong, in my opinion, out of UConn loyalty. And these are legends who were loud wrong. It doesn't mean they're not legends, but they were loud wrong. The idea that if you watched Caitlin Clark, and we'll get to the Angel Reese part of this in a moment, if you watched Caitlin Clark at Iowa with those teammates and thought, oh yeah, I mean, when she comes to the WNBA, she'll be fine, but she's going to have, her rookie season's going to be tough, and, she's not going to be an all-star level player. These are grown women. Then, in my opinion, you either don't fully understand basketball, but a lot of these people who were saying it, I know they understand basketball, so you are allowing your own allegiances, whether it's to university, other players, or whomever, to muddy your opinion. Gino Auriemma maybe knows more about women's basketball than any human being ever. He is certainly on the short list. Here is what Gino Auriemma said to my dear friend Dan Patrick early in the season when the Fever were struggling. Quote, "The kid's on the wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality in the league, and she's a rookie. This rookie class isn't even one of the best rookie classes in the last 10 years. She's not built for the physicality of this league, and she's not quick enough to get away from the physicality." End quote. Wrong, 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 wrong. The girl is a superstar. A superstar. And is she a perfect player? No. Is she the best player in the league? No, that is clearly and unanimously A'ja Wilson. And that then brings us to the Rookie of the Year thing, which now, in my opinion, is a different example of people embarrassing themselves. Folks have bent over backwards to try to explain why what Angel is doing, which is spectacular, is on par with what Caitlin is doing, which is historic. And it's just not. Months ago, all of a sudden, folks decided, you know what should be the tiebreaker in a Rookie of the Year race, in a team sport? Team record. Never heard that ever in my life, but that was a real discussion. Okay, but now that the team records are, Caitlin's team is 17-16, one of the hottest and most dangerous teams in the league outside of, in the WNBA, listen, there are, in my opinion, I guess I have to include the Lynx. 3 awesome teams in the Liberty, the Sun, and the Lynx, and then a team that's won the last 2 titles and has the best player in the Las Vegas Aces, and a team that I think will be playing for a championship again in the Aces. I would separate those 4 teams from everyone else. That the Fever are as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than any team outside of that group. They're now 17-16, and the Chicago Sky are 11-21. The Fever have won 4 in a row. The Sky have lost 6 in a row. So now we're not doing the team record thing anymore. And now we're not, we are now, and again, Lisa Leslie is a legend, which is why I find so much of this commentary so disappointing. Now what we're trying to do, I think, is not piss off the shitty corners of the internet. Because some of the worst people on the internet are stridently in different camps on this. Some of the people that don't care at all about the WNBA, but like the fact that there's this white girl that's kicking ass, are vocal Caitlin Clark supporters, and some folks that are flatly attacking anyone that gives Caitlin Clark her flowers, if you will, out of what would appear to be pure racial allegiance, are some of the most vocal Angel Reese supporters in this. And I think a lot of people don't want to get yelled at, so now all of a sudden we're doing participation trophies. Now all of a sudden we are going to try to pretend like Angel, who again is having a 91 out of 100 rookie season, is on par with Caitlin's rookie season, which is one of the greatest rookie seasons in the history of the league, if not the greatest. And it's just embarrassing. Guys, we have to be able to have honest conversations about sports, even if it goes against some of our priors or some of our allies on the internet. And nobody with a straight face can say there is a real debate about who the most impactful or best rookie in women's basketball has been this year. It's Caitlin Clark. Angel's rebounding is spectacular, and she, again, I think some people go too far with it. They're like, oh, she's just rebounding her own misses. That's not true. Oh, she doesn't have a real impact because look at the team's record. That's not true. That team, when she's off the court, gets boat raced. When she's on the court, they play people even. But Caitlin Clark's arguably already one of the 5 best players in the league. Inarguably one of the 8 best players in the league. And we got to be able to say that. There should be 2 unanimous awards in the WNBA this year. The MVP should be unanimously to A'ja Wilson, every single first place vote. And Rookie of the Year should be unanimously to Caitlin Clark, every single first place vote. And if you are approaching this without your own preconceived notions or biases polluting it, then I think that's pretty obvious. I have found some of this to be really unfortunate. I think the whole Cheryl Swoops thing is not great. Now all of a sudden we have a Cheryl Swoops, Nancy Lieberman beef. These are 2 of the greatest all-time legends. I don't love that. How much of this has fallen down racial lines is just another, to me, kind of crack in our social fabric, if you will. How much of this has been exacerbated by bad actors on the internet? All of it. But what is not up for debate is that Caitlin Clark has been as advertised. And I'm really curious if some of the biggest skeptics or some of the loudest critics who early in the year, they had access to the same schedule I did. They had access to the same date I did. If some of those people, if they want to say either, my bad, I missed it, I got it wrong, I didn't see it, or if they want to say, I let my own allegiances, whether it be to UConn, other players, or strangers on my phone yelling at me, get in the way of my commentary. And so this can be a real celebration for the league. And it is very important for the league that it's not just Caitlin. That this whole rookie class, but Caitlin and Angel, are obviously the 2 standouts. That you do have potentially 2 players who are so different from each other, by the way. Caitlin's a range shooter, amazing passer, weak defender. Angel is the best rebounder in the league, or second best already. Very good defender who really needs to work on, honestly, just her shot within 5 feet. And she does that between this year and next year, and she's all of a sudden one of the best players in the league. And those two players being rivals and on ascending teams is great for the league. But man, oh man, the Fever are a dangerous team now. I mean, there's no denying it. You have the number 1 overall pick from a few years ago, from South Carolina. I don't know why I'm not thinking of her name. My apologies. Boston, who has been absolutely spectacular. Thank you, Aaliyah Boston. But no, who's been great. And quietly, or maybe not so quietly, Kelsey Mitchell is the one actually leading them in points. So you have 3 players on your team who can go for 20 plus any given night. Kelsey Mitchell's been outstanding. Aaliyah Boston, after a rough start to the year, is playing like the player that she was in college and the player we know she is. And Caitlin Clark's just getting better and better and better. And man, oh man, if you are one of those top 4 teams I was talking about, the Liberty, the Sun, the Lynx, and the Aces, you do not want to see Indiana in round 1. And I'm hoping, by the way, it's not Aces Fever in round 1. Because the Fever are the team I root for, but I am fascinated by Caitlin, and I want to see how far she can take this. I'd love to see that somehow in round 2. That if the Fever stay the 6th seed, I guess that'd be good. If the Fever don't catch the Storm, then in that case, they could only play in the final. I don't think they could make the final. It's going to be hard to get Fever Aces in these playoffs, but I want to see how far each of those teams can go. All right, Damonza, there's our WNBA 15 minutes. You got any objection, any take, any problems, anything I said?
No, that all sat well with me. I do think that I'm obviously not as tapped into the WNBA as you are, but I was telling one of the producers that just like at face value, I think it's obvious that Caitlin Clark deserves Rookie of the Year. I don't think anybody could take that from her. And you did definitely call it after the Olympic break, like that was crazy. She definitely picked it up, started rolling immediately.
Well, I mean, you got to think about it. Like Caitlin Clark went from, unless you were a real diehard women's basketball fan, going into the NCAA tournament, not the most recent one, but the 2023 NCAA tournament, you didn't really know Caitlin Clark. And then that tournament, when she, ends up beating South Carolina, losing to LSU, they have all that controversy, carries Iowa to the championship game, she becomes a superstar.
Yeah.
From that moment, so March of 23 until July of 24, it's just 15 months of mayhem for her. She goes from relative anonymity, in the national stage, to one of the biggest celebrities in the female sports world. She's at award shows. She's at ceremonies. She's at galas. She has endorsement deals. She is a way bigger celebrity than you could have ever imagined on campus. Goes right into the college basketball season, where once again she has this spotlight. Her games are getting huge ratings. She breaks the scoring record. Another NCAA tournament. Days after the tournament, WNBA draft, number 1 pick. Now she's private jets or not, endorsement, money. Boom, season starts. Who do you play? All the best teams immediately on TV all the time. And by the way, we're going to rough you up a bit. All of them in 14, 15 months. And then, I got to talk about this. I have to answer for that. I have to make sure everything I say. And then there's 3 weeks where, there's no cameras. There's no games. There's no interviews. For the first time since I have been famous, I can breathe. and there's no, and so I just think it was,
worked out.
I think making the Olympic team would have been brutal for her. It would have been just a different circus surrounding her. Instead, she finally got to breathe, and she's kicking ass, man. Good for her and good for the Fever. It's good for the sport. I think maybe they do, but I think for her it was perfect.
Yes.
It's not like she would have turned it down, and Team USA won anyway. Now, the gold medal game was closer than it should have been, but they won anyway, and now, so I think it's great. All right, let's get to the NFL.
All right, so we know what the stakes are for the Chiefs this year. They're on the verge of a three-peat. Would a Super Bowl this year make them one of the best dynasties or the best dynasty ever?
So I think it would. So here the real question is, do you consider the Patriots one continuous dynasty? That's the real question. Because if you do, the Patriot dynasty, if you do, is it's 19 years, but call it, I'll call it what it is. 19-year run. In those 19 years, they made 9 Super Bowls, 13 conference championship games, made the playoffs 17 of 19 years, won the division 17 of 19 years, and won 6 Super Bowls. That's the Patriot dynasty. You might be like, aren't those numbers short? No, because the Patriot dynasty doesn't get credit for Brady with the Bucks. So if that's one continuous dynasty in your opinion, then this Chiefs run probably comes in second to it. But the issue, if you will, with looking at it as one continuous dynasty is from 2005 through 2013, those 9 years, they won 0 Super Bowls. So can you have during a dynasty a decade without a championship? So if you look at the Patriots as 2 separate dynasties, and those dynasties would be 01 to 04, 3 Super Bowls, 3 Super Bowl wins, and then 2011 to 2018. 11 to 18 would be 8 years, 3 rings, 5 Super Bowl appearances. All 8 years you won at least 12 games. All 8 years you were in the conference championship game. This Chiefs run would be better than either of those individually. I think this Chiefs run will beat the Steelers of the 70s. They won 2, had a 2-year break, if you will, then won 2 more, so they won 4 and 6. The Cowboys of the 90s, obviously, they won 3 and 4. The Niners of the 80s, they won 4 in 9 years or 10 years. I think 81 in 9 years. This would be clearly better than all of those. If the Chiefs win this, it would be 3 in a row, 4 Super Bowls in 6 years, and over a 7-year stretch, 7 conference championship games, 5 Super Bowl appearances, 4 rings. And so, if they win it, they are undoubtedly the second greatest dynasty ever, and depending on how you parse the Patriots one, you could argue the best dynasty ever. And for folks objecting to me saying, oh, how can you call it 2 separate ones? Well, let me ask you this. If the Kansas City Chiefs don't win it this year, and they don't win another Super Bowl until 2032, will you consider that Super Bowl part of this run? I don't think many people would. And that's what happened with the Patriots. The Patriots won in 04 and then didn't win again until 14. So, if the Chiefs, who won it in 23, I said 2032, that was wrong. don't win again until 2033, will you consider that super? Let's say the Chiefs don't win again and then they win back-to-back in 33 and 34. Will you consider that part of this dynasty? I don't think you would. And so it's a testament to the Patriots that they had two separate dynasties, but I do look at it as two separate dynasties. In which case, the Chiefs right now, this season, can become the greatest dynasty in NFL history. All right, next.
See if they can do it. Yeah, it feels like 9 times out of 10 when these NFL guys hold out, they end up getting their money. Ayuk proved that. He just got $30 million a year from San Francisco, and it's talk of the town. Trent Williams is reportedly getting his deal done today. So does this mean that San Francisco is back to the runaway NFC favorites?
So I don't think they are the runaway favorites. I do think getting Trent Williams back was an absolute must-do, and now they are basically running back a similar team that they had last year. I think people slightly overvalue what the Niners did last year and talk about them like they were this start-to-finish juggernaut. They were really good. I'm not denying that they were a really good team, but they were also a team that had a 3-game losing streak and trailed in every single playoff game they played in. Now, it doesn't mean they weren't an awesome team, but they were a 12-win team. They won the same amount of games last year as the Cowboys did, and I don't think the Cowboys were really good. I don't think they looked. There was only one start-to-finish juggernaut in football last year, and that was the Ravens. The Niners, to me, there are two this season concerns for the Niners, and then there is an overarching concern. The this season concerns are, since Christian McCaffrey got there, they have been incredibly fortunate on injury luck, with one glaring exception being the NFC Championship game against the Eagles whenever they had no quarterbacks available. So let's just, you know what, let me rephrase it. Last year, for a team that has older guys and guys with injury history, they were pretty fortunate. They lost one guy of their key contributors throughout the season in Hufanga, and I think Hufanga's excellent, so that's a big loss, no doubt about it. But Trent was healthy, C-Mac was healthy, both receivers were healthy. Obviously, Brock was healthy. Their whole defense, other than Hufanga, was healthy until the Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl, losing Dre Greenlaw is a big loss. And so I do have a concern about that piece of it. The other concern I have is if, this season is a little rocky, do all these guys, it's hard to climb that mountain all from the very beginning, when you've been so close to the mountaintop so many times and you just haven't quite broken through. I mean, for a team in the same 6-year stretch, 2019 to, I guess, is it 6 years? Oh, I guess that's 5 years. Wow, that's crazy. So in the same last 5 years, where the Chiefs have won 3 Super Bowls and been to 4, the Niners have been to the conference championship game 4 of those 5 years, been to the Super Bowl 2 of those 5 years, led in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl both of those times, and they have 0 championships to show for it. It's just, and again, it's a testament to their consistency, greatness of roster, excellence of coaching, but man, oh man, oh man, do you worry that things get a little rocky, that guys get frustrated, let go of the rope? And so to me, I think the Niners are going to be good. I don't know if they're going to be great, but I do think they're going to be good. And Damonza, tell me if you guys still have my audio.
Yeah.
Okay, I think
we need to go break for a second.
We're having slight technical difficulties. On the other side, we'll do some college football stuff, and I'll discuss the long-lasting Niners concern. We'll do that next. What's right? All right, welcome back in What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 259. Sorry about that. The point I was making about the Niners is, for this season, I think mostly they'll be fine. I do think that the Super Bowl hangover, particularly when you've been that close for that long with this core, if you have a rocky start, that can hurt you. The bigger issue for the Niners is, I know that it has become trendy for folks to say, and I don't want to do a whole salary cap thing, but folks be like, the cap isn't real. The cap is absolutely real. It can just, the ramifications can be delayed, and you can kick the can down the road. But for the Niners, these are the financial realities of what of the way they have built their team. They have right now a player in George Kittle, who this year counts $12 million for their cap. Next year, $21 million. Trent Williams, who we'll see what the adjusted deal does, but this year, $10 million. Next year, $34 million. Nick Bosa, this year, $14 million. Next year, $21 million. Javon Hargrave, this year, $9 million. Next year, $28 million. Fred Warner, this year, $13 million. Next year, $29 million. So they have all those guys whose salaries are jumping. You then add to it, Charvarius Ward is in the last year of his deal. You have multiple starting offensive linemen in the last year of their deal. And Brock Purdy, you hope, plays really well and is in for a raise from where he goes from around $1 million to around $60 million. Now that $60 million won't be, all hit the cap at one time, but still. The point being, they are nearing the end of this iteration of the team, and it's why they were so hesitant to pay Trent Williams. Because the easiest way, because Trent's money was not guaranteed at all for next season. So the easiest way to carve out cap savings would have been to move on from Trent Williams when he's turning 37 next year. You're now not going to have that ability, and you probably don't want to do that anyway. Now, will they trade Debo? Probably. And so his $24 million comes off the books. But the fact of the matter is, this is a team that has borrowed from future versions of themselves to keep this core together. Eventually, you have to pay the price on that. All right, Damonza, let's do a little... before we do college football, actually, let me remind you guys about my friends at Terramana Tequila. Looking for your next favorite tequila? Terramana is a premium small batch tequila founded by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Each bottle of Terramana is meticulously crafted from 100% fully mature agave, slow roasted in traditional brick ovens, and distilled in handmade copper pot stills. Try Terramana today in the People's Margarita, a deliciously refreshing drink made with Terramana Blanco, lime, agave nectar, and pineapple juice. Terramana is also the perfect pairing when inviting friends and family around to watch sports and celebrate the big games together. For more information, visit Terramana.com and follow on social media at Terramana. Must be 21 years or older. Please enjoy responsibly. Terramana small batch tequila, 40% alcohol by volume, imported by Siete Buck Spirits, White Plains, New York. All right, because I went so long in the WNBA, we're going to kill Tennis Corner. Just suffice it to say, I went last week. I was also there on Sunday. I watched Coco, man. I'm a little annoyed because I lost money on the match, but also I think Coco had 8 double faults. I've never seen her that rattled on her serve. Now, shout out to Emma Navarro, another American who ended up, winning, but it's not even like Emma had to play great. Coco just couldn't get a first serve in to save her life. Now, this is a wide open bracket, as wide open as I can ever remember, and I guess we will do a slight miniature Tennis Corner. Yeah. Right now, the smart money, I guess, is on Sinner. If I were placing a bet, I would bet Medvedev, but it does look like we should hopefully get a American male in the final, be it Fritz or Tiafoe. Now, Dimitrov or Zverev could ruin that, but I would love to see. I'm rooting for Tiafoe. I don't think he'll get there. My money would be on Medvedev. On the women's side of the bracket, I guess we're probably going to get Swiatek Sabalenka. It's probably going to be chalk on that. I'd love to see how far Emma can take it. And we have 2 American women left. Pegula, whose family owns the Buffalo Bills, and Emma Navarro. But Pegula's got her hands full with Swiatek. And if Navarro gets past her quarterfinal match, Sabalenka, you've got to think, is probably too much for her. All right, there's the quick Tennis Corner. Damonza, what game? Oh, what game are we? Or no, before we even do, Coco had 19 double faults. My God, I didn't know how many it was. It was insane. But go ahead. Before we get to the game, let's do a little college football. Sorry.
Yeah, so you had some tweets about the Colorado game, but you were mostly quiet throughout. What's the biggest story of this opening week of college football to you?
All right, so the Colorado thing is very simple in that it really does seem like it's rinse repeat from last year. You have your quarterback is a star. You might have the best player in the entire country in Travis Hunter, and Jimmy Horn Jr. is awesome, and the rest of your team stinks. I mean, they just don't have good linemen offensively or defensively, and because of that, I don't know how they're going to be able to compete. And so I'm just not going to buy into the Colorado hype at all, because I think that this week Nebraska is going to push them around. The other big story is Georgia that much better than the good teams in college football, or is Clemson truly fallen off?
Dog wash.
And I mean, that game was 6-0 at halftime, and then Georgia just annihilated them the rest of the way. And obviously, I think for a lot of people, the other story, given last night's game in particular, is Florida State misses Travis Hunter in a very real way. And speaking of Florida football, or the state of Florida football, Miami, shout out to my friend Mike Ryan. Miami is a team to be feared this year. Oh, one other note. As USC beats LSU 27-20, and people send me tweets saying it doesn't look like USC missed Caleb Williams that much. Here's a fun fact. Damonza, if USC football during Caleb's career allowed 20 points every single game he played, 20 exactly,
Okay.
how many games do you think Caleb would have lost?
Probably none.
The answer is one. One game.
Okay.
There was one game his whole career that if the defense would have done against just random teams what they were able to do against LSU, they would have lost. And that was a game they actually won against Oregon State 17-14 his second year. His last year, a team that went 7-5 would have been undefeated if they had allowed 20 points in every single game. So save your Caleb slander for someone else. All right, now let's go to our game, Damonza.
So we're gonna do a preseason take time capsule. So how it works is before the season starts, we're gonna make a time capsule of takes, and we'll dig these up later in the season to see how the takes have aged. First off, great. You got 3 teams really stole the headlines this offseason with their players holding out in Dallas, Cincinnati, and San Francisco. The 49ers got theirs fixed, seemingly, and the Cowboys and Bengals still have major contract issues. Which of these teams is most likely to be impacted by the most by these offseason moves in the regular season?
All right, in the regular season, the answer is Dallas, because every single game, Dak's going to have to answer questions about his contract after every single game. Long term, and so will Mike McCarthy, by the way. Long term, my answer is Cincinnati, Damonza, because this is the canary in the coal mine that the Bengals are still the Bengals, and they're going to be cheap. Did you see? I have to make sure this wasn't fake news. Bengals selling TVs. I have to make sure. I saw it. Listen, I saw one of those dumb aggregator accounts tweet this out. I want to see if I can find. Okay, here we go. So we are at WCPO, which is the ABC affiliate in Cincinnati. So real news, okay? Looking for a new TV? Hamilton County is selling more televisions from Paycor Stadium. This county is gearing up to sell another 150 TVs from the Bengals Stadium amid multi-million-dollar renovations to the stadium. So it seems like, I mean, maybe. Now, this is saying the county is doing it. So maybe, and by the way, here's the breakdown of the prices, Damonza. They are selling 56-inch to 85-inch TVs for $60. Okay?
Oh, wow.
So you just got to show up at the stadium with a truck and cash. And so now, if the county is the one doing it, I guess I can't bang on the Bengals. This is why I wanted to get the actual facts. It's not Mike Brown doing it. It does seem a little low rent. But if the county's doing it, I guess the county owns the stadium. But I just worry about the Bengals' long-term finances. But for this season, the Cowboys coach and quarterback being on lame duck contracts, are a real thing. All right, next.
All right, so the Chiefs might not have a true rival, but that doesn't mean that they're unbeatable. So Baltimore, Buffalo, and Cincinnati have come the closest in the past to defeating the Chiefs. Who do you think is the largest threat to the Chiefs this season? Baltimore, Buffalo, Cincinnati, maybe themselves or other?
No, I'll go with Cincinnati. Listen, I don't know how much longer this Bengals team's going to be together, but they have T. Higgins this year. It's probably his last year. They have Chase, assuming he shows up, and Joe Burrow's awesome.
And if the Ravens beat them in week 1, would they obviously be a threat at that point, right?
No?
Okay.
This is a weird. We'll talk more Chiefs Ravens on Thursday, Damonza, but this is a weird spot where for the Ravens it's an absolute must win. They have to win the game. And for the Chiefs, it's an absolute can't lose in that who cares. If they win the game, then great. And if they lose the game, they lost week 1 last year and they won the Super Bowl. I'm just telling you, that's the benefit of being the 2-time Super Bowl champion. It's just what it is.
I think this is a must-win for the Chiefs just because you can't have Lamar Jackson going into the season knowing that he can beat the Chiefs. I mean, it sucks that they lost the end of last year, but I don't think it'll be good for your Chiefs if the Ravens have that in their mind. They know, especially if it's a bad game and they blow them out. But
okay, well, I don't think a blowout's coming in either direction.
Right,
but
I think it'll be a good game.
I don't think you even believe that if the Ravens win this game and then they play again in the playoffs, that the Ravens will have the psychological edge in that game. At best, it's neutral. At best, it's neutral. And
it's
so
definitely not going to hurt the Ravens. It's not going to hurt them, but yeah.
No, it's not going to hurt the. No, I agree with that. I agree with that entirely. But if the Ravens lose this game, and Lamar all of a sudden is 1-5 against Patrick, yeah,
they need a win.
And so, but the answer is Cincinnati. Because the difference is this: Cincinnati can lose to the Chiefs in week 2, and still feel like we can beat them in January because they have. Cincinnati's the only team that can be like, we actually have beaten them in a game that matters. They're the only team. And so the Chiefs are going to have a massive psychological edge on every other team in the league. They just are. All right, next.
All right, yeah, last year, C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love were the breakout quarterback stars of the league. You're in on the Texans, but you said that you're out on the Packers. So what is that? Does that have anything to do with their quarterbacks? Like which breakout quarterback is legit between C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love?
Before I go, because you like both of these guys, correct?
Yeah.
You like both 100%. These guys a lot. Which guy do you think is more likely to be a perennial superstar?
Well, I just have to go with C.J. Stroud because a larger sample size at this point. But, I mean, after this year, I feel like I'll be able to give a way better analysis or a more definitive answer. But I just have to go with C.J. Stroud right now just because I've seen more games. But I do love Jordan Love at the end of the day. It's my guy.
So I agree with you. Even though Jordan Love and C.J. Stroud have played basically the exact same amount of games, it feels like Jordan Love was only good for half a year while C.J. was good for the whole year. And so even though Jordan's older, it does feel like we know more about C.J., which is counterintuitive, but it's what you said is exactly how I feel. I think there is a chance Jordan Love regresses a bit this year. And I just don't see CJ regressing. Now, it doesn't mean he's going to throw 4 picks again or 5 picks, whatever he threw last year. But I think CJ is going to just be even better this year than he was last year. I think Jordan could have more fits and starts. So my answer is CJ. I think CJ is already a star, and I think Jordan is a potential star. That's the distinction I would draw. And it is going to be easier for CJ early on because he's going to be so cheap the next couple years. Jordan, because he had to sit, he never really got the benefit of that rookie contract supercharged team because they had to pay him immediately. All right, next.
Right. Quarterbacks are getting paid all around the league. Chances are somebody's bound to have some buyer's remorse. And which team do you think that'll be between Miami, Philly, Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, Detroit?
All right,
You
so
going
I don't
Miami
think
here?
including Tampa Bay in this is fair, just because Baker makes so much less than all these other guys. Baker, I think, got 3 years, $100 million. So I think that even if you think Baker is the worst of the five, it was, yeah, it was 3 years, $100 million exactly. He's almost, half the price of the other guys. So you can almost take him out of it. Of those four, who did you guess I was going to say?
Miami.
Miami, no doubt. I just don't think Tua is that good. And I think that Miami, when they have to start paring away the talent, I think they kind of deep down know that and they're worried about it. I'm curious who you think I would say after Tua is the biggest concern between Trevor, Goff, and Jalen.
I mean, my gut tells me it's Jalen Hurts, but for some reason I feel like you might be, doing some galaxy thing. It might be Goff.
No,
but
your gut is correct.
It's got to be Jalen
No,
Hurts. Yeah.
listen. As long as the Lions are able to keep that offensive line and continue to play indoors, Goff is going to be fine. He's not going to be. I don't think he's going to be a superstar, but he's going to be fine. I'm worried about Jalen Hurts this year. I'm worried about their coaching situation. I'm worried about their offensive line. Pardon me, compared to the offensive lines they've had in years past. So now people can say, Nick, that, you know what I mean, you're biased when it comes to Trevor. Why are you not concerned about Trevor? And the answer is, yes, I'm biased. No, I'm not concerned. The guy's going to be a star. Just believe me. I can't prove it to you. Just believe me. The best evidence I have right now is look at Clemson since he left. Tried to tell you guys he's a superstar. To me, Tua and Jalen are the biggest concerns.
Did they officially ban the tush push? Like, it's banned, right?
No.
They
not
haven't
banned
banned
at
it
all.
yet. They talked about banning it or something.
They talked about it, but they decided not to do it. But I do wonder if they're going to ban it. I'm sorry, not going to ban it. That's not what I was meant to say at all. I wonder how effective it's going to be without Kelsey. And I also wonder if they're going to have Saquon do it instead of Jalen. I think that would make sense because Jalen was so banged up last year. All right, next.
There are 3 teams nobody can figure out: Pittsburgh, the Jets, the Chargers, and the Chargers. Who are you sure about between those teams? Pittsburgh, the Jets, the Chargers.
I'm sure about all 3 of them. The Chargers will be significantly better immediately because of the coaching upgrade. They're not going to be a contender, but they're going to be a fringe playoff team and immediately better because of Harbaugh. The Jets are once again going to be one of the most overvalued preseason teams in the league, and then they're going to suffer a couple typical injuries because it's football and they're an old team, and then they're also going to deal with the dysfunction of the coach and the quarterback not being on the same page, and the fact that they have the worst offensive coordinator in the NFL, and then people are going to throw their hands up and be like, who could have seen this coming? And the Steelers are going to have a really good defense and impossibly bad offense and win 8 games. I feel very confident. And 8 games, by the way, is probably bad for Pittsburgh. Probably better for them to win 4 or 5 games, finally bottom out, and be able to finally draft a quarterback high and start the thing over. All right, next.
So we've got a bonus question for you. By which week will the media start panicking about the Chiefs?
So here's the thing. I don't think it will happen this year because I think everyone feels so burnt by last year. I think the Chiefs could start 0-2 and people will still be like, they're the Chiefs. I don't think you're going to see, as long as Mahomes is healthy, everyone is going to be very judicious in any potential criticism of the Chiefs.
So this question's it's like I thought you saying they start off 0-2, but like they're saying that when are they going to start panicking about them? So you're saying even if they're losing, you're going to be like, yeah, they're getting there somehow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean they would have to be 4-8 for people to bail on them entirely. Yeah, so yeah. And that's obviously not going to happen. All right, answer some listener questions next. What's right? All right, welcome back in. What's right with Nick Wright, Damonza? Let's do a few listener questions before we get out of here.
Mr. Gabe asked, does Robert Saleh have the worst job in sports?
No. No, he doesn't have the worst job in sports. I don't think it's a great job. I think coach of the Jets historically isn't a great job, and with Rodgers kind of holding these dueling, press conferences or whatever, it's not ideal. But no, I think the worst, that's a whole topic. The worst jobs in sports.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
The Cowboys head coach is not a great one. It sounds like it's a great one, but then Jerry is just always holding these press conferences and you got to answer for it. I think that Alabama football coach is sneaky, not a great job, because you go, 11-2 and win the Iron Bowl, and it's a failure because of what Saban and Bear Bryant had done, and so there's, but no, it's not the worst job, but it's not a great job. Gerard Mayo, being the guy that follows Belichick,
right?
That's probably not ideal. But no, it's not the. I don't think Salah's got the saying worst job in sports for the Thursday topic. That's like a March topic, not a first day of the NFL season topic, but it is a good topic. All right, go ahead to the next one, Damonza.
Austin Tapp, how can you tell the quality of the guard spot, and why aren't there a lot of Hall of Fame guards? Is it the lack of namesake or the nature of the position?
Yeah, I think it's lack of name recognition and the nature of the position is, and I think most people, how do we know who the best guards are? We just trust the people who evaluate them, and look at all pro voting and stuff like that. Yeah, so I think I think that, listen, every spot on a football team is important, but if you were power ranking most to least, guard, inside linebacker, and tight end are the three that are going to jump out as the least important, probably, with safety being those, and safety. Those are the four spots that are paid the least glamour, and I think we know the least about. The difference is with inside linebacker, tight end, and safety, the great ones have unbelievable stats or highlights that you can see.
Safety's a fun one.
It's a fun one, but it's just not valued the way it once was. And same with inside linebacker, even though Ray Lewis, Brian Urlacher, some of the greatest players ever. All right, next.
Robbie Ralph, I'm 6 years into a 10-year bet that says Lamar will not win a Super Bowl. Am I going to win the 500? You're preying on his downfall, Robbie.
That is an odd bet. But,
crazy.
I would say you're a favorite. Do I think Lamar's going to win a Super Bowl in the next 4 years? If I was offered even money on that, I think that I would take the no side. You're a slight favorite. You were an underdog 4 years ago. 4 years ago, and it was like, will Lamar win in the next 8 years? The answer looked like yes. But now, couple injuries, another bad playoff performance, and so now it's, slight to the no. All right, two more questions quickly, Damonza.
Isaiah A., DJ Moore or Rome Odunze for fantasy?
All right, I don't do fantasy questions, but this one slipped through. DJ Moore, without a doubt. DJ Moore is going to have a monster. DJ Moore had a monster year with Justin Fields. Now that's because Fields only threw him the ball and then ran. But Odunze is going to be really good. Rome Odunze is already really good. All right, last one.
Danny Tanner. If poker were added to the Olympics, would you try to qualify?
No, I would not be. There's just too many players way, 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 way better than me. And if it were added to the Olympics, it would have to be in tournament fashion, and the greatest tournament players in the world. It would be like me trying to qualify for any Olympic sport. Like I wouldn't really have a chance. With that said, I'm thinking about cycling, because that lady who was a grad student or whatever who just picked up cycling ended up winning the gold. She had just started doing cycling in her spare time. She ended up winning the gold. And I am back on my Peloton grind, and I am crushing people. I mean, just absolutely crushing people. So maybe I could do like maybe not cycling, but like some type of triathlon type, maybe not Olympics. The problem with the triathlon is the swimming. I can swim, but swimming for a mile seems like an absurd thing. It just seems like but the jogging, I got great new running shoes. I'll shout them out on the next pod. I don't know if I'm supposed to yet. I don't know if the sponsorship's signed, sealed, and delivered yet. But I got great new running shoes from a potential What's Right sponsor. And the cycling I'm crushing. But no, I couldn't qualify for poker in the Olympics. You can though, by the way. I'll be able to talk about it next week. I'm going to be playing poker on TV again very soon with one of the greatest athletes of the last 20 years. He's going to be alongside me. So I'll tell you guys about that at a podcast coming up. Today, huge day on FS1. New lineup out. Breakfast ball's been rolling. The facility is going on as we speak. Colin is back from his vacation. Our show, the new Speak featuring Joy Taylor. It's going to be great. So check all that out. I'll see you guys on with Colin in about 90 minutes. See you in my show in a little over 3 hours. What's right? Hey, thanks for watching. If you're still here, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the bell so you can be notified when we have new episodes. After you've done that, one more favor. Go to your favorite audio platform of choice and subscribe there as well. Don't forget, we're live every Tuesday and Thursday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern-ish. 10:35, 10:40, it sometimes changes, but that's why you hit the bell. You hit the bell so you're notified. You subscribe so we can get to 200,000 followers. We're right around 150,000. We'd love to get to 200,000, get Damonza another plaque. So like, subscribe, rate, send a rating too. Do all that cool stuff. Thanks, guys.